We'd like to call to order this regular September the 9th, 2019 meeting of the Columbus Municipal School Board to order. We do have a quorum present. I will ask our invocation followed by the pledge. Please bow with me. Our Heavenly Father, we come to you today thanking you so much for this beautiful day. We thank you so much for all the things you continue to do in this community and for this school district. Lord, we just ask your continued grace and direction and instruction of how we can continue to do your will as we move forward and working with everyone involved. Lord, we just thank you so much for all the things that you've bestowed upon this district, both good and bad, so that we will continue to thrive in your plan. Amen.
Amen.
Please rise. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to thank everyone for being here this evening. Board, we do have our agenda in front of us. I need a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Dr. Shoemake. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we go to school faculty and staff recognitions. Dr. Labatt, I'll turn it over to you. And board, if you'll join us down front, please.
At this time, the Columbus Municipal School District would like to recognize Ms. Shamir Roby. Ms. Shamir Roby wrote an information technology grant for students, and she is a Columbus High School student. We would like to recognize her at this time. Okay, she's there. At this time, we would like to recognize Ms. Beth Tibbett on behalf of Cook Elementary School, the four-county Storymaker grant. She's worked with us on our curriculum team and has worked with the grant writer with Storymaker to assist us in receiving this grant and grants to come. Thank you, Ms. Tibbett. At this time, the Columbus Municipal School District would like to recognize Franklin Academy's principal, Ms. Tawana Williams, on her efforts in receiving the Barkdale's Parent Academy grant.
Thank you all for that. Just continuing to go above and beyond to help the students in any way possible. Thank you all. Board members, if we go to our next item on tonight's agenda, which is the school board minutes, we do have item under 5A, school board minutes, one August the 7th and August the 12th. Then we have, so I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to trustee travel and discussion board. Do we have any items to report travel-wise? I know we've got some travel coming up soon, but that'll be next month. All right. Now we have discussion of storm recovery efforts and capital improvement plan for Columbus Municipal School District. Dr. Labat?
Currently, we have the RFP, the request for architectural services on the agenda for approval for the Hunt facility. The capital improvement plan, we have Mr. Neil Schaefer, the engineering scope of services for the Columbus High School Athletic Complex.
Okay. And if I remember correctly from our review, there was also, I know we're considering resurfacing or repaving the high school football parking lot, but that'll be later on. But there was an alternative that they're working on is it Mr. Little?
Mr. Little's working on sealing the potholes within the area so that the cut-through will be able to be used in its full capacity.
And I know that was one thing we talked about when we did the cut-through at Sale, is to get parents in that queuing line off of Warpath, so we'll be able to use it until we get to that point. So thank you for that. Next, we have consideration and discussion to approve Neil Schaefer engineering scope of services terms for the Columbus High School Athletic Complex football parking lot rehabilitation. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Dr. Shoemake. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we have discussion of the Hunt campus recovery.
Currently, the Weathers Construction Company is about 45 to 60 days away from completing the weatherization project. They were waiting for some beams for the roofing on the Hunt facility and hope that it will be completed between the next 45 and 60 days.
Okay. And that's the weatherproofing, not the...
Yes, the weatherization.
Restoration.
That's correct.
All right. Board, is there any questions regarding the progress at the Hunt campus? Okay. Next, we have contract renewals update. Board, this is an item that we have on here that will kind of outline for us so we can keep track of all the different contracts that we have coming up, timelines to continue to review. Is there any questions about the update report? And I think you had mentioned, Dr. Blatt, that you're going to expand the scope of it as well going forward.
Correct. Ms. Holmes and I talked extensively this afternoon about looking at the threshold of $10,000 and making that a more detailed report with all renewals throughout the district.
Okay. Next, we go to consideration and discussion to approve the Board of Trustees to attend the upcoming Fall Leadership Conference for MSBA in Jackson. So, Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we have number 6, which is consideration and discussion to approve Golden Triangle Early College High School MOU and anticipated changes to partnership related to the program under the new contract. So before we get into consideration on this discussion part, all of us are aware, as we've followed it since we started going down to Jackson and speaking to legislators back in March, I believe it was, of the rule change that has been made so that the scores will come back to the school district, or not just our district, but Starkville, Tibbetts, West Point, everybody will get their student scores back. But then also the funding mechanism has been worked out as far as us being able to pay directly to EMCC, who is going to be the governing authority as well as the fiscal agent for the GTEX campus and staff and everything. So, Dr. Bott, is there anything else?
Just would like to thank the Board of Trustees for their diligence in pursuing getting our scores back. Ms. Murray and I looked extensively at the embargo test scores and saw that they were sent back, and it took a lot of work on the Board of Trustees to go to Jackson and to be assertive in those efforts, and we're very happy with the results.
Okay. And board member, do y'all have any other discussion or question about it? Okay, so I need a motion to approve the amended GTEX MOU, which will take effect October 1st, 2019. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we go to consideration and discussion to approval 16th section leases. Willie Mack Coleman Jr., finding good trust for an automatic 25-year option to renew. We do have the signed lease here, and Mr. Dunn, if you wouldn't mind, on this particular one, we have the tax assessor certificate because it's such a small parcel. It wants to be leased, and it will be at what the board passed, the $300 threshold, and so this serves as what we need to send to the SOS, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's not final until the SOS, the Mississippi Secretary of State approves it.
Okay. All right, so, board, I need a motion to approve the lease as presented.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Ms. Young. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next on here, we have the discussion of the MSBA 2020 legislative survey. You know, annually, we receive this survey, and we talked about it in our review the other day regarding different items that they work on behalf of us participating boards in the upcoming legislative session that are priorities for our district as well as others. And so if we could, we will go through this, and I've got the master copy here that we'll be able to complete and then process back to MSBA that's due, I believe, in October the 18th. So I'll read each one, and then we'll just go how you would want to answer it. So legislation increasing teachers' pay. Mr. Sparks, we'll go from right to left.
Support.
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 All right. Legislation providing incentives to teachers to stay in education.
Support.
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 Support. Support.
Legislation providing incentives to people majoring in education and/or people seeking an alternate route license.
Support.
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 Support. Support.
All right. Legislation allowing school employees with proper training to carry guns on school campus.
Oppose.
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 Oppose. Oppose.
Legislation eliminating the requirement of passing an end-of-course test to graduate.
Support.
What test? I don't know what we're, pardon me?
This particular one states, legislation eliminating the requirement of passing an end-of-course test to graduate.
Oh, we're talking about history?
And I apologize, I think they need to have a little bit more information.
Yeah.
If they're talking about the math tests, they've eliminated the history test, so it's 3 tests that are left, but they're federal requirements under ESSA. So I don't really know in particular what they're talking about when they say end-of-course tests to graduate.
Okay, I presume that they were speaking about the end of the map.
So, okay, so the ELA math and science are required. And the reason they eliminated history because it's the only one that's not required by federal mandates.
Okay.
So I don't,
In that case, I'll
so-
say no opinion, because I don't have enough information.
Yeah, I don't have enough,
Opinion.
I wish I knew exactly what
Well,
they're,
yeah, go with no opinion.
No,
that's
no-
number 5.
Number 5, no opinion from me.
No opinion.
Number 5,
Yes, ma'am.
eliminating, I support it.
Okay.
And the reason why I support it is that I believe that they're speaking in reference to the subject area testing that our students are continuing to take in order to graduate from high school, and likewise other tests that our students with special needs, since we do not have an occupational diploma anymore, that they are having to take tests in order to go on and graduate. And it is good that you all did that, because now we can discuss where we should make recommendations as to what steps that we think would be appropriate for graduation. I've been looking into what other districts throughout the United States have been doing in this particular case. And there are several scenarios that will work well for Mississippi.
That's correct, and
That
I-
will happen.
Absolutely, Ms. Cox, I wanted to clarify, the state of Alabama uses the ACT, so there's alternate methods outside of those 3 subject areas, there's substitutes, but you have to get that application approved by the federal government. So I'm thinking if they're thinking in lieu of the subject area test, that's something that's a very viable option. Our neighbors in Alabama use the ACT.
So what I will do is I will circle, since the majority was no opinion, but I'll put 4 under no opinion, 1 under support, and then out to the side, I will write in, needs further clarification,
Yeah,
if that's okay with everyone.
Thank you, Ms. Cox.
can I say- yeah, and I think we did this on one or two of them last year. They just don't give us quite enough information to make
Right.
an informed choice.
Okay. All right, number 6 is legislation allowing school board members to be removed from office for violating accreditation and/or ethics standards.
Support.
Support?
Support.
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 Okay.
Awesome.
Legislation reducing the number of family members of the superintendent who can be recommended for employment.
No opinion.
No opinion?
No opinion.
No opinion.
No opinion.
All right. Legislation requiring all school board members to be elected.
Oppose.
Oppose?
Opposed.
Oppose.
Opposed.
Legislation changing the school board election law so that all school board members will stand for election/reelection, appointment/reappointment in the same election year.
No opinion.
Oppose?
Opposed.
Let's talk about it a minute.
Yeah,
Okay.
tell me exactly what.
Well, I mean, it's basically saying, like, right now, we have it staggered to where a trustee every year comes up, every February will come up, their term will expire. And now they're wanting to put like a finite date on it and say, everybody at that particular point would be up for reelection, reappointment, instead of having like the rolling system now.
Okay.
And so that's why I'm opposed to it, is because, I mean, does it make sense to where you would just,
Lose everybody.
well, lose everybody, or, I mean, just creates chaos, if you ask me, amongst what.
So, okay,
the
oppose.
system. All right, so, let's see.
I-
Do it again.
No opinion.
No opinion?
Oppose?
Opposed?
Oppose.
Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing on circle opposed, but put 4 and then 1 under no opinion. All right. Now we have legislation that would increase school board member compensation.
Support.
No opinion?
I'm opposed to it.
Support.
Support it.
All right, so we have 3, with majority support. We have 3 support, 1 opposed, 1 no opinion. All right, legislation increasing qualifications for individuals running for school board members.
Oppose.
Oppose?
Opposed.
Support.
Support.
All right, so there's 3 opposed, 2 support. All right, so then we have legislation changing the public education funding formula from average daily attendance to
No.
total.
You skipped 12.
Good thing you skipped one.
Ah, okay, yeah, my bad. Legislation restricting local control of school boards.
No opinion.
Okay. I don't know what that means.
Well, it just
Yeah.
simply means that they're gonna move all the power to Jackson and leave us to decide what they have interpreted us to do.
I'll have a definite opinion then. I would oppose that.
I'm opposed to it.
Oppose.
Opposed.
Okay, so that's 4 opposed, 1 no opinion on that one. All right. All right, next is legislation changing the public education formula from average daily attendance to total enrollment. And let me ask Dr. Labat, what is your take on it?
Most of education,
Because the numbers are frozen since 2005.
educators in the state support total enrollment. Average daily attendance, students actually have to come to school, and they have a finite number. Beth and I are in the process of sending a weekly Falcon Blast. It's just asking parents to send their kids to school, when the number really should be, if we have 3,500 students in the district at the end of October, then that should be the number that we should be used for the funding formula for MAEP. Doesn't happen. So it depends on a child being at school relatively most of the day. And so total enrollment is a better situation for educators in the state, and a formula that's more conducive to.
Okay, all right, so
Support.
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 Question. Okay. All right, total enrollment. I'm looking at some notes I wrote when I read over this.
Mike.
Total enrollment. Some districts are larger. Some districts are larger than, if you look at your rural districts, they have a small total enrollment. And their funding, to me, is already low comparative to some larger school districts where they have, the enrollments are larger because they're more, some of them are larger cities. They where they have their resources that are coming in appropriately. And some rural people, I look at the difference in the funding for Knoxville County schools compared to Lowndes County schools, or Columbus, or our school district, or Starkville school district. Then you look at Ackerman. You know, looking at those districts there, would this entail that the larger school districts would be funded more appropriately?
Do you want to take this one, or do you want me to? Okay, and then I'll have Ms. Holmes, but the formula kind of subsidizes the enrollment to make it equitable based on the population. You want to,
Yeah.
Ms. Holmes? That's pretty much it, yeah. So what she's saying is a smaller district relative to their size would get formula based on the average student cost. Is that what I'm saying correctly?
The average student cost is low.
Average, go ahead.
With the, I'm sorry, with the MAP formula, that is a proponent of the, or I should say a component of the MAP formula, where we look at the ADA enrollment, ADA, also the student-based costs and other factors, such as teacher units, SPED, other things like that are factored into that MAP formula to determine the final funding amount. Of course, you know, that has been a subject of discussion where the districts are not being fully funded based on those calculations.
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying that everything will come into account, basically. Okay, so I support it if that's it.
Okay. All right. Legislation changing the way public education funding formula is determined.
Support.
Again,
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, there's no information there. I mean, I
I
don't,
mean, I read it to mean, just in my takeaway from it, that, do you support the changing the current formula? Just as simple as that. You know, from MAP to whatever
to
they.
something which
Right.
might be
And I look-
worse.
I looked at it from the standpoint of, you see what we have now.
Mhm.
So if we, open up to an opportunity to change it, hopefully we'll change it for the better.
Right.
Hopefully, right, hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I'll put down, I'm opposing.
Okay. And I'm opposed to it.
Opposed.
Opposed.
All right, so you were,
Yeah, I'll stand on supporting it.
all right,
Hope
so I'll do the
springs
same
eternal.
thing. Opposed
You know
for.
what, I'm gonna go back and go with my first mind. I support it, and, to be honest with you, the legislator changing the way the formula for, changing it, all right, if they change it, fine. But the way that they're doing it now is fine. All they have to do is fully fund it.
Oh, I agree.
We're not, no
The
disagreement
question
there.
doesn't read that.
I completely.
It doesn't say
I
fully.
mean, that would change the
But it's so
formula
much-
right there.
it's so
Right.
much added into
And
these-
that's what we're banking on.
The numbers
so
would
much added
change.
into these little blank statements that they're giving us.
Right, that's exactly right.
All right, so number 15, legislation to fully fund the public education funding formula.
Support.
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 Support, yeah, but, wait, no, oppose it.
You opposed to fully funding? the-
Wait, no, fully funding, I'm getting turned around, no, I fully, wait a minute, we're on the next question, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
support that.
It's the heat.
Ms. Cox?
Support.
All right. All right. Now, legislation that provided income tax deduction for parents who homeschool or send their children to private schools.
Oppose.
Oppose.
Opposed?
Oppose.
Legislation that would create a tax credit scholarship act allowing individuals to make tax-deductible donations to qualifying scholarship organizations that provide scholarships to students who attend K-12 non-public schools.
Oppose.
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 18, legislation allowing students who are attending C, D, or F schools to transfer to an A or B school.
Oppose.
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 Legislation allowing legislation allowing public funds to be diverted from public schools to non-public schools, home schools, or virtual schools by means of vouchers, tuition tax credits, or scholarships.
Oppose.
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 Legislation allowing public charter schools in districts with successfully accountability ratings of A, B, or C.
Oppose.
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 Legislation creating a structured statewide approach to quality early childhood education.
Support.
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 All right. Now, the last page here we have are 22, 23, and 24. The first is, what are your board's top 1 or 2 legislative concerns?
Funding.
Creeping movement of funding from public to non-public schools.
Okay.
What number?
Number 22, the question is, and we have to write out one
What
top.
number they referred to?
They were talking about funding, and what was
Funding.
that?
Mine was basically the same. It's my main concern is creeping movement of funding from public to non-public schools.
Right.
Okay.
So it's asking for what's our top 1 or 2 legislative concerns.
I have number 18.
Number 18, of transferring from, to A and B schools. That's a good one. All right, so Ms. Cox?
21.
21,
Oh, we
Creating
should
a
say-
structured statewide approach to quality early education.
okay. All right. Now, I say as far as concerns, I agree with what you had said on number 18, but the next one says, what are your board's top priorities for the upcoming legislative session? I think 21 would fit that. Ms. Cox?
Yeah,
What
I
do you
had
say?
21 for that.
All right, so I'm gonna put 18, and then funding, shifting to
What about 15?
non-public.
15.
Okay. All right,
Put
now
funding.
15 would be,
Funding.
What was funding?
okay, so 21, 15. All right, are there any others that we would say is our top priorities for the upcoming legislative session? Okay, then the last one here is, do you feel there is too much time spent testing instead of teaching? They're asking the school board this?
I'm not qualified to answer. That's what I said last year.
All right,
I defer to superintendent.
I defer to superintendent.
I would defer to my principals, but I'm sure I can speak on their behalf. But I think that we don't have a problem with accountability and assessment. I think the problem lies on the focus and how we're evaluated based on that focus. Our proficiency increase, we're doing a great job, but in school districts similar to our size and with our poverty level, it just doesn't accommodate the teacher turnover or other issues. And so with that being said, sometimes success is not measured in a way. So I feel that assessment probably is just too much focus. So yeah, I think they're over-tested. And I think that, they're over-tested because of the focus on accountability. Now, I think it's cause and effect.
Right.
Like, we test too much because in schools, and the impact of it is because of the accountability. So you really can't say one way without the other.
Right.
Yeah, but I think that, a growth model of
taking interim assessment at the beginning of the year and end of the year is more conducive to a year and really evaluating if a student did well, more than 1 year to another, 2 different teachers, a different class. It's just so many dynamics and variables that make it, I would just say, I don't want to say irrational, but it is.
So, Board, if it's okay with you, thank you, Dr. Labat, I'm going to say, according to the superintendent and principal, we believe so.
Yes.
All right. So that takes care of that, and I'll clean it up and then turn it over to Ms. Belma, so she'll be able to upload it into resources and process it on, if that's okay. Thank y'all for that. All right, next we go to our consent agenda. We have our dates to remember, academic dates, athletic dates, board meeting dates, and upcoming, we have our October 2nd and October 7th board meetings, but we also have the September 24th, 2019 stakeholder meeting that we will have a live mic, no karaoke, but anyone can come and talk about the good, the bad, and what we need to do better at. So that'll be at Cook Auditorium at 6 o'clock, so be there, please. Now we go to on the consideration to accept donation from the AKA sorority to Sale Elementary, which this is still considered.
Oh, sorry.
We also have a donation from Buffalo Wild Wings to the Columbus High School Girls Volleyball Program. Also have a donation from Edna Cole to Cook Elementary. Donation from International Paper Columbus Mill to the CMSD Elementary Schools. Consideration to discuss between CMSD and Milan for free epinephrine pens that will be administered by the nurses. Not everybody sticking there. All right.
Correct.
And then consideration and discussion to accept grant from Ford County Foundation for Cook Elementary. So that is all the items on the consent agenda. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we go to open forum. Do we have anyone signed up for open forum? No? Okay. Item 8, which is Office of Business Management. We have our monthly financials. We have cash balance, statement balance reports. And I know we're ending the period of closing out the books, which I think in October we'll find out all the X's and O's. We have our monthly revenue budget report, expenditure budget report, certification and summary of reconciled bank statements. So, Board, I need a motion to approve the financials.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Okay, being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we have the monthly ad valorem tax collection analysis report. Board, is there any questions about the ad valorem tax report? Okay. Athletic events report. Board, is there any questions or discussion about the athletic events report? Okay. Next, we go to discussion of building level fixed assets accountability plan. Dr. Labat, I'll turn it over to you.
Ms. Holmes?
To Mr. Spears, other members of the Board of Trustees, Dr. Labat, as the fixed asset property manager for the district, we wanted to, I conveyed my expectations to the administrators in the building levels, and also giving them the forms to help enhance accountability in those buildings with protecting our fixed assets. One of the things that we wanted to address was to tie up some of the loose ends with the movement and also the disposals and accounting for those assets throughout the year, whether an employee first walks in the building or when they leave the building for the rest of the year, or for the summer, I'm sorry, but to tie up the loose ends or close up any loopholes as far as accountability with those assets. What you have before you or in board resources is a summary overview of those processes that we've implemented and to put in place to make the accountability a little bit more rigid, and also the trackability of those assets also more clear. Also, you'll have in your possession the electronic version of those procedures that we've put into place or implementing this year that will also enhance those, reinforce accountability within the building level with the administrators as well as the staff in that building.
Excellent. And I know this is something that the board, we've talked about just as, questions about looking at the fixed asset disposal report and some of the more recent purchases and different things and how that's processed. So thank y'all for doing that. Board members, do y'all have any questions regarding the plan? I think this is,
That's good.
I think it's
Thank
pretty
you.
close to
Very
what,
good.
certainly what we were looking for when we were asking questions. That's great.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you very much. So next, board, we go to consideration to approve fixed asset disposals. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Ms. Cox, seconded by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. All right, I'm sorry, right hand. She distracted me with the left hand there.
Sorry.
All right, it is unanimous. Next, we go to consideration to approve CMSD 2019-2020 facility usage rental fee list. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, I have to recuse myself on this particular one.
All right, the next item, we have consideration to discuss to approve Galloway Chandler McKinney insurance coverage for the Columbus Municipal School District for workers' compensation. I need a motion.
So moved.
Second? Oh,
Second.
wait, we had a motion by Ms. Young, that way you put it there. And then the second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Schumate. Any discussion?
Question, what was the amount last year for our coverage for workers' comp?
I'd have to confirm that, but I know it's over 100,000, but I don't know the exact amount. And I apologize. I will get that information to you, but I'm not sure. I can't recollect.
Okay,
And Mr. Lee, yeah, I can get that information, Ms. Holmes, get it to you.
okay. Did we use Galloway last year, the same company? Is this the
No, ma'am. Actually, this will be a new provider of workers' comp. Actually, Swope Insurance was the insurance carrier, or who we used to solicit the quote. The Mississippi School Board Association was actually an underwriter or insurer for the district for workers' comp last year.
Any other questions?
Okay, and
What were the concerns as to the changes within the last 3 years? It was Swope and then Mississippi School Board Association and now Galloway.
Actually, Mark Hardy acted as the district's agent to secure the policy with the Mississippi School Board Association. So Mississippi School Board Association has been the carrier for the last couple of years, I think. I don't know of any concerns, but we did want to open it up and make sure that other, were able to bid on the service as well.
okay.
Any other discussion? If not, all in favor? Raise your right hand. All right, that's going to be unanimous. Oh, I'm sorry. All opposed, which of course, no one is here to oppose. All right, next item is consideration to approve engagement with Kimberly Alford CPA for preparation of the Gatsby statements. I need a motion.
So moved.
The motion by Dr. Schumate, second.
No.
I'll second it.
We're on,
Any discussion?
who made the second?
All in favor? It is unanimous. All right, we'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Spears.
All right. Next, we go to the claims docket. Next, we have, do I have a motion to approve the claims docket?
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second,
Has been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion?
Actually, Hold on.
I wanted to see if we had an update on the fuel man card.
Right now, we can't discuss the terms of the fuel man card, but I will say that we have diligently looked into the issues. Mr. Dunn, do you want to?
That's a good way to handle it.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
it is being dealt with.
Okay.
Who made the motion?
I don't know. Who made
For
the,
the claims docket, Mr. Spears.
So we got
Mr. Sparks made
Sparks.
made the motion,
Sparks.
and I made second.
Second, I'm sorry. Let me get out of this.
All right. All right. All right, any,
yes, I
Yes,
did
you
have a
have-
question. Has to do with Columbus Light and Water. And this is, it just sort of popped out that Cook was $9,046, which is more than the high school. Usually the high school, if I remember correctly, is the most expensive. So I just wondered if there was something funky with Cook Elementary.
Ms. Holmes and I looked at this last week, and this didn't catch my eye about the cost of Cook, so I apologize.
That's okay.
Ms. Holmes, did you, we didn't look into that one,
Cook
so.
is, like I said, it's 9,046, and then the high school is a little over 7,000. And usually the high school is the most expensive. It just sort of looked like an anomaly.
And thank you for looking into that, something we can definitely look into tomorrow. We've had other times that we've looked at energy bills and light bills and have questioned, and some of the times we've ended up getting reimbursements from that company. So thank you for having, a vigilant eye to find that. We'll definitely take a look at it.
That's fine.
And Ms. Holmes and I will check into it with Ms. Devlin tomorrow morning, just to
Thank
reevaluate it. Thank you.
and Mr. Dunn, just for clarification, if the board approves, even with the amount that's approved to be paid, if they go back and find some resolution that might have been off something, then that'll be fine for them to bring back at a later date, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? All right. If not, all in favor, please signify with the right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to the federal programs, IDA monthly financial review. Dr. Bott, is there any comment regarding this?
Not at this time. Most of our funds have been encumbered. I feel like we are progressing well in spending our allocation and dealing with our previous year allocations, so.
Okay. And
Move forward.
just to remember, as far as rollover dollars, those have to be expended by,
The end of the month, September 30th, is that correct?
They have to be obligated by September 30th. Our FY18 funds have to be obligated by September 30th and fully liquidated by December.
okay, December
Um,
31st?
8th is earlier in the month.
Okay, that's fine. All right. All right, so any other questions or anything about this particular report? Okay. Next, we go to E, which is purchase reconciliations.
Ms. Holmes?
Yes, ma'am. What you have before you is what we believe to be the last of the purchase reconciliation items. These particular items that we're putting forth before the board, of course, you'll see noted the issue with those reconciliations as to why they're being presented. Again, we expect this to be the last of the Mohicans with this and to move forward.
And the choir said amen. All right. So I believe we have to approve the reconciliations, is that correct? It's not worded as consideration, but is that correct, Mr. Dunn? Okay, so I need a motion to approve authorizing reconciliations.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Dr. Schumake, seconded by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion? Okay, being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to item number 9, Office of the Superintendent. We do have Superintendent Travel, Dr. Labat.
Was able to attend my second superintendent's meeting since becoming superintendent in Meridian, Mississippi, and gained some valuable knowledge about some upcoming SPED issues and about workers' compensation, changes in law for exempt and non-exempt employees, which I've discussed in detail with Mr. Hunley and Ms. Holmes, and preparing for that federal statute to change and what we may have to do as far as being fair in exempting our employees. So we're working diligently in evaluating that cost to the district.
Okay. Thank you very much. Board, do you have any questions about her report on travel? Okay. Next, we go to superintendent recommendations. We have consideration and/or discussion to approve revised 2019-2020 supplements for additional duties. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Ms. Cox. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to consideration and discussion to approve additional contract work, addendums to contracts. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Number B3 is consideration and discussion to approve Assistant Superintendent of District and School Operations recommendation. Dr. Levant, would you like to disclose?
Yes, we have a vacancy for the Assistant Superintendent position of District and School Operations. I formally selected Dr. Glendito for that position. He's here at this time, and I'm asking the board to approve that recommendation.
The board, the recommendations made to us for Dr. Dito.
Dr. Dito.
Dr. Dito. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
That's been motioned by Ms. Cox, seconded by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Welcome aboard.
Hi.
Plenty of work for you to do.
We didn't do everything before we got here.
Next is B4, consideration and discussion to approve staff personnel items. Board, I need a motion to approve staff personnel.
So moved.
That's been motioned by Ms. Young. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. B5, which is consideration and discussion to approve superintendent to attend the MSBA Fall Leadership Conference in Jackson. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
That's been motioned by Mr. Sparks. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. All right, B6 is consideration and discussion to approve the request to advertise RFQ for architectural services for Hunt facility in local newspaper, the Minority Business website to meet FEMA requirements, and the Department of Finance Administration. So, Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Ms. Cox. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. B7, if we could, Board, we'll take B7, B8 together as one. So I need is that okay with everyone? Okay, so I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now, if we could take item, let's see, B9 and B10 and B11 and B12 together, B9, 10, 11, and 12, they're all as one motion. So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Dr. Shoemake. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Okay, being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. All right, let me scroll down. Let's see here. All right, so next, if we could, we have 13. So, Board, I need consideration and discussion to approve agreement between CMSD and Curriculum Associates. 14 is consideration, discussion to approve Saxon Phonics and spelling refill full set kits. And if I could have a motion to approve both of those together, 13 and 14.
So moved.
That's been motioned by Ms. Young. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to item number 15, consideration and discussion to approve MOU between CMSD, Franklin Academy, and the Barksdale Reading Institute. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Been seconded by Dr. Shoemake. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Now we go to 16, which is consideration to approve facility use agreement between Columbus High School and Mississippi State University Humphrey Coliseum for the CHS 2020 graduation. I know, right. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
It's been motioned by Ms. Cox, seconded by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we go to consideration and discussion to approve MOU between CMSD and Mississippi School for Math and Science regarding the use of Columbus High School tennis courts. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Ms. Young. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Cox. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Number 18 is consideration and discussion to approve Golden Triangle Tennis Club facility use agreement. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Ms. Young. I'll make the second. Just the only discussion I have is insurance and everything is on file. I know that was something that wasn't there earlier.
For the Golden Triangle Tennis Club,
Yes, ma'am.
we should have, it shouldn't be on here if we don't have insurance. Indemnity Home Harvest. Is there? Okay, we have.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr.
All
Killenberg
right.
saying yes.
So everything's in good order. So any additional questions or discussion? Okay, being none, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. 19, consideration and discussion to approve contract between CMSD, Columbus High School Football, and WMSV Radio. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we have consideration to approve the 2019-2020 Professional Development Plan. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Dr. Shoemake. Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no, okay. Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Let's see here. Now we have 21, consideration and discussion to approve 2019-2020 Instructional Management Plan. Board, I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Ms. Cox. I'll make the second. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we have 22, and we have several of the 2019-2020 CMSD crisis plans. These are laid out for each location, Brandon, all the way through all the schools, elementary, middle, and high school, as well as the overall district plan. So we'll have all those approval as one motion, if that's okay, board. So I need a motion to approve the crisis plan, management plans.
So moved.
That's been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Has been seconded by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. Next, we go to superintendent update, which is C, for the Mississippi Department of Education Federal Programs Audit Findings. Dr. Labat?
Yes, the Office of Federal Programs conducted a spring visit on April 3rd through 5th, 2019, and I was in receipt of a letter on July 31st, 2019. This was a pre-monitoring visit that detailed what we needed to be in compliance with federal programs as outlined by the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 and amended in ESSA in 2015. We had several findings, and Dr. Blewett has worked diligently to complete the corrective action plan, and she will give us her summary at this time. Dr. Blewett.
Good evening.
David.
Thank you. As Dr. Labat mentioned, we received our results of the spring monitoring visit that was conducted in the Office of Federal Programs. The date was April the 3rd through the 5th. And of those findings, many of them dealt with procedurals. There were some physical as well as personnel compliance issue that we had to deal with. In developing the corrective action plan, what I did, I worked with our MDE contact, our chief financial officer, the federal program accountant, and what we had to do was pretty much create and draft procedures in those areas where we were non-compliant. We worked with ESSA and EGR guidance to make sure that we are following federal guidelines, as well as looking at what we had in place already in the district as far as our policies to do that. We will also work with the business office and also other personnel to ensure that we have safeguards in place so that we be proactive. So many of those citations that we receive going forward, we would not repeat those same issues. I conducted an initial training with all the building administrators since we were fast approaching upon the September 30th deadline. We didn't want to, in haste, again, repeat some of the same citations, so I met with all of the building administrators. I drafted up procedures and guidance with ESSA and federal guidelines to make sure that our administrators and as far as our business office, we're all on the same page and understanding those guidelines, those requirements as it relates to federal spending. Pending our MDE clearance, we have to, part of clearing the citation is also doing another follow-up training with all of our staff to ensure that everyone understand our new procedures and safeguards that we have in place. So again, it's not only going to be just a one-time training, but I will be meeting with building administrators monthly. I would also conduct an internal monitoring visit within our schools prior to our full-blown Title I monitoring visit. We also were providing group and individual training for those individuals, guidance on spending, our accountability, on internal monitoring control. I also held meeting with the coordinators of our 21st Century and N&D grant to going over those applications with those coordinators to make sure that they understood the requirements of the auspice of which they were under control, make sure that they understand all the requirements of each grant that was under their care, make sure I was walking them through them, that they understand requirements as well as citations. I also plan consultation meeting with our private schools, bringing them on board when our new procedures are approved, going over their initial training, again, not just one time, but ongoing with our private schools to ensure that they understand federal guidance. And working with our human resource and IT department so that we ensure that our data quality is correct, again, providing ongoing training with not only just administrators, but all staff members.
And please tell them that we'll do all of this again when they come visit us again.
We get to do all this again.
Right.
Yes, and a lot of things too that we've been having a safeguard is trying to do, being proactive, trying to make sure that everyone understands. Many times when people understand why we have, we just can't say you can't do this, there's a reason why. But making sure up front everyone understands the guidance and according to guidance. Again, with those federal dollars come many federal regulations and responsibilities. So a lot of times, yes, the money is great, but a lot of times making sure that everyone understands all the requirements. Are there any questions?
Okay, board members, regarding the findings or the presentation, are there any questions that you have? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wood.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, board, we go to D, which is the goals update. We have student attendance report. Board, is there any questions regarding the student attendance report? Okay. Next, we go to school safety report. We have student discipline for the district as well as each individual campus location throughout the district. Is there any questions regarding any of the discipline reports? Okay. Dropout report. Board, any questions regarding the dropout report? Teacher attendance report. The only question I had about it, and I discussed earlier with Dr. Labat, was regarding, everything's at 97, 98%. I know we're really getting into the grind of it, but at Columbus Success Academy, I know you'd explain if you want to elaborate for the board. That was the only one that's kind of off mark a little bit, but there's a reason behind it.
Yes, Columbus Success Academy has experienced some teacher turnover and have used substitute teachers, and with the small number, it's indicative of the low percentage of attendance by teachers.
Okay. So, Board, is there any questions regarding this? Okay, thank you for that. Now we have the safety report. Board, any questions regarding the safety report? None? All right, next I need a motion to go into closed determination.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Any discussion, any questions? Being none, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. I'll be out shortly to announce the items will be taken up in executive session. Thank everyone for being here this evening. All right, we are now back in regular session. We went into closed determination. Mr. Sparks made the motion. It was a 5-0 vote. We voted to take up minutes and potential litigation, which we announced, or I announced, after we had made that decision. It was a 5-0 vote to take up those items for the minutes. Excuse me, Mr. Sparks made the motion, Dr. Shoemake made the second. It was a 5-0 vote for the minutes. Mr. Sparks made the motion, Dr. Shoemake made the second. It was a 5-0 vote. Regarding the potential litigation, there was no action taken. Then to return to regular session, Mr. Sparks made the motion, Dr. Shoemake made the second. It was a 5-0 vote, and that brings us to our last item on tonight's agenda, which is to adjourn. Board, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Has been motioned by Mr. Sparks. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Young. Any discussion? Being no discussion, all in favor, please signify with your right hand. It is unanimous. We are adjourned.